Cummins Real Estate Group show with Michelle Cummins. That's with one L and no G. And myself, Curtis Pope. Of course, Michelle, you are sequestered there in your palatial estate in Agassiz. I'm here in the studio, but how are things going out there?
I've just sipping on some wonderful coffee and enjoying every minute of every day.
Well, you know, it's the best you can do. And I mean, it must be actually a little bit easier to isolate for you in a way, because I know you have a pretty good chunk of property. You've got the river right there that you can walk around and stuff. So you can get some outside exercise without having to deal with anybody.
Yeah, completely blessed that way. Absolutely. I can breathe. I live where I play. That's why I bought out here. And so I just pumped up the tires on our two bikes the other day and been riding around. It's just so nice. I love taking long walks, about an hour and a half or so, through the dike and around the trails into the little town of Agassiz, and then bike riding. And there's just so many different ways to, get out and get some exercise that way. I love it here. And it snowed yesterday.
That's what I hear. I mean, it snowed a bit in Abbotsford too, but it didn't really stick. It kept changing. It was hail, it was rain, it was snow, and it went back and forth between all three.
Yeah, no, here it was snow. It was thick. It was blizzardy. It was, oh my gosh, it was white. I took a video of it.
Excellent.
Sent it to my family. This is unbelievable. It's April and it's snowing. And that's no April Fool's joke either.
No, absolutely not. Now, have you discovered some new things to spend some of your time? I know you've still been busy. We'll get to the real estate stats here in a bit, but have you been watching some Netflix or Amazon and stuff like that, or are you watching specific stuff on TV or reading books? What are you doing?
Yeah, all of the above. Last week, I watched a new season. There's one season on Netflix, something called Letter to the King, and it's like a period piece. And there's this beautiful Frisian horse, black. He has so much character, this horse, and of course he's magical. And so I did binge watch the one season called Letter to the King, and it was fantastic. But the horse, I want to get a horse. I hopefully will get one this year, and I'm hoping for a Frisian because they're just so gorgeous.
They are. They're beautiful horses for sure.
Yeah, that was a good show. And then I've been keeping up on The Voice. So it's been nice because last season I didn't get to watch any of them. And so with this whole being at home, I've been having a little bit more time on my hands. So keeping up with that. I love The Voice.
Very nice.
Oh, and you know what? I don't know if you know this. Funny, I sent it to my sisters, and one of them actually watched it and said it was great. But in Agassiz and the District of Kent, they filmed this Netflix series, and they've done one season of this one. Just started watching it, just saw it. Virgin River is what it's called. So Agassiz is the town Virgin River, and it's really cute, sort of like slow romantic, kind of like think Hallmark Christmas movie, but not Christmas, and a TV series.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, that one's a neat one. How about yourself? What have you been watching?
I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I jumped into Tiger King this week.
You did, because you mentioned that last week. Okay, I have to admit, I saw the preview. Now, I didn't watch the whole preview. I watched like a half a second of it, and then I moved on.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If you were to watch it, because basically you start to watch it, and it almost feels like you're watching a mockumentary, like something like Spinal Tap or The Mighty Wind or Best in Show. It almost feels like that. And then about halfway into the first episode, you realize, no, these are real people.
Oh my gosh! It sounds like it just looks so ridiculous when I saw the picture and then when I saw it. But okay, so did you watch the whole thing?
I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I'm a few episodes in, and it's a literal train wreck. You can't stop watching once you start.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, there's only like 7 or 8 episodes, though, so it's not like you're going to get stuck into this thing for months. I mean, you can do it over the course of a few days. I'm trying to spread it out a little bit, but it's. I can see why people are falling for this left, right, and center, because it is something like you've never seen before.
It's funny because after you mentioned it last week, a couple other people mentioned it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Curtis just mentioned about that.
I could see your other half there. I could see Richard liking it for some reason.
if he ever gets out of his music studio working on his country album.
Well, that's a good spot for him. Keeping him busy, and that's the one thing about this. I was on a big conference call yesterday with a whole bunch of artists with one of the labels, and there is so much music being made right now, so much writing, so much creativity, because now people, they're not on the road, they're not touring, they're not doing shows. They've got to channel that energy, so they're throwing it into their music right now. So they're writing, they're practicing, they're doing all this stuff, and we're going to get hit with a whack of incredible music here in a few months.
I believe it. And it's been so amazing just seeing people even online throwing up little songs or part songs on YouTubes and Facebook and everything. So I was talking about that with Richard, because there's something about the feeling and the atmosphere in the air, too. It's almost like Christmas time or weekends, when you just feel something different in the air. So it's like everyone being a bit more creative. I guess it's almost like a right to be creative, like a right to just hone in your, get into your cave or your wherever you get that inspiration and you're able to do it easier. I guess because all your events and all the get-togethers are all canceled. So
well, I think there's a lesson here for all of us in that the world has slowed down big time for all of us. But, it's obviously going to speed up again, but I think there's a lesson here to learn to unplug a little bit, pull back, and do those things that you love to do a little more.
Get off the treadmill of life a bit. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
To get off the treadmill and just relax a bit. Give your mind, your soul, your body a break, time to reflect and be creative again, just as human beings, as every single one of us has something to create or, just let it out.
Absolutely. Well, now I know our world has slowed down a bit, but funny enough, the local real estate market hasn't.
No, and you know what? Just yesterday, they came out with the real estate stats for March. So we're going to talk about that on the second segment of the show. But before that, I wanted to talk a bit about. Let's talk about mortgage rates and mortgages and how you can get through this whole COVID-19 the next few months, however long it may be, and what the wisest decision may be for you and your finances. So I wanted to say that in the past week that we saw the interest rate, the headlines, again, Bank of Canada performed their third rate cut in just 3 weeks. The key interest rate was lowered another 0.5%, bringing it down to 0.25, so 0.25%. What does that mean for you? Okay, so a lot of people are going, oh my gosh, interest rates are dropping. But if you're a variable rate mortgage, you'll most likely see the savings passed on as lenders drop their prime rates to match the Bank of Canada's latest rate cut. But for fixed rate mortgages, it's always advisable to check in with your mortgage broker. There's been some cases where even fixed rates have seen a decrease over the past several weeks, but really depending on the bank you're banking with and that situation. But a lot of people are thinking about deferring their mortgages because they are allowing that up to 6 months, and it's case by case, and you have to apply and all that. But wanted to have people consider 3 things before going in. And I shared in my e-newsletter last week, Thrive Mortgage. It's a mortgage company. Some great guys there, really smart guys, got some financial background, history, and mortgage broking and all that. So they have a lot of great advice. And I shared a video in my e-newsletter regarding these, 3 things to consider. So I'm going to mention them just briefly here. Looking at your overall cash flow, because all your expenses, to understand exactly what you can get rid of, like additional subscriptions that you don't need, extra shopping that you don't need. I'm sure everyone's thinking about that and doing less shopping nowadays, except for the hoarders. But calling your service providers and seeing who's offering discounts or holds or cancellations. So there's a lot of things that if you really look at your budget and look at your, expense, your statement, bank statement, see what you can cut back on, because, adding up the pennies, every $10 and $25 and $50 monthly cuts really help you in this time of need. So look at those. A long-term impact, look at that, because if you defer your mortgage, how does that look for your credit rating? And interest is still being charged, and it's compounding. So, that interest, they're not going to stop charging you that. So it's going to make your future interest even higher because, you haven't paid it down. As they say, pay every 2 weeks or even every week your mortgage rather than once a month, because it really cuts down on that interest and it saves you thousands and thousands in the future. So again, it's that whole, the pennies add up, but it compounds, right? So, that's something to consider is the interest isn't waived at all. And then, what about consolidating? Consolidate everything. If you have a car payment and credit card, these consumer debts, consolidate all of your payments into one by refinancing. Like, contact your mortgage broker and talk about that, because there's some really good rates right now. It could be way better than you're getting than you have currently on your mortgage. If you refinance and get a variable mortgage, which everyone is saying go variable, always the best, and especially now, and consolidate everything into one payment, and your payment will overall be way less than what you're paying on everything right now. So talk to your mortgage provider about that. So over the last month, we've seen a dramatic drop to prime rate, which is currently resting at 2.45%. And there's a lot of confusion about what interest rates are actually doing. Although prime rate is at a historical low, interest rates have overall been on the rise. With prime being so low, lenders are no longer offering a discount off prime for variable rate mortgages, but rather putting a premium on the products. So the sooner you talk to your mortgage provider, the better. As well, fixed rates have risen partially because of increased bond purchases, but also because lenders are needing to get their rates higher to try and maintain liquidity, as so many Canadians are needing to defer their mortgage payments due to the loss of employment. So overall, interest rates remain low, and mortgage financing is very affordable. However, if your current rate is under 3%, now is not a time to refinance, as fixed rates are currently higher than that. But again, talk to your mortgage provider and see what it is for you, because there is a lot of confusion out there, and consolidating is quite the best. So I wanted to mention, as I did last week, but now it's actually happened, is that 3 month for tenants. We're going to talk a bit about tenancies and tenant laws. So there's now a 3 month $500 rent subsidy available for tenants. So the tenant just goes online, applies for it, and it's sent to their landlord direct. So that's up to $500 for up to 3 months. There's also a current freeze on any evictions and a freeze on annual rent increases as of April 1st. So how does that impact real estate? Well, I know firsthand, I mentioned it last week, and a lot of people and a buyer right now having a really hard time finding a place because most places are tenanted that we're looking at. And if there's a tenanted place, they do not have to show their home. They do not have to open up. The landlord can't give them 24 hours notice and expect them to open their doors for showings or for themselves anymore. Because of the self-isolation, the government says, nope, landlord, you're not allowed to enter that home. Nobody's allowed to enter unless the tenant allows them to. So right now, every place that's tenanted isn't being shown at all. So it's, might as well take them off the market, right, for this time being. But yeah, so that's something. It's great for tenants, and it is their right, but something to be aware of. If you're a buyer, needing a place right away, you're going to have to be looking at a vacant place, or hopefully a seller who doesn't mind moving out, sooner than later. But that's something that's happening there. So I wanted to talk about, if we have a bit more time, Curtis, how much time do we have left on this segment?
Well, actually, we're over time now, so we should probably take a quick break, and we can start off with the idea you have, and we do our second segment.
Enough of my voice already. Okay, let's move on.
We'll take a quick break. So, again, if people want more information from you, what can they do?
MichelleCummins.ca.
All right, we're back with more right after this. All right, we are back with segment number 2. Now, I so rudely interrupted you, Michelle, as you were about to go off on a tangent about something, but I realized we had to take a commercial break. But we're back now. Hopefully, I didn't derail your train of thought.
No, not at all, Curtis. Hopefully, you're okay hearing my voice a little longer here.
Well, that's the whole point Saturday mornings is you're the expert. I'm just here to push the buttons and keep things on the rails.
You're a good button pusher.
Yeah, my wife tells me all the time I push all the wrong buttons with her, let me tell you.
I knew that was coming.
Very comfortable couch in my house.
Oh, my goodness. We were just talking about your birthday.
We were talking about my birthday, which you thought was coming up, but it was 2 months ago.
That's how much time is like slowed down. Is I already thought it was like a year later almost.
Well,
like,
and the thing
from
is,
last
like, it's your husband's birthday coming up, not mine.
That's right. And now I know what to get him for his birthday.
Yes, I gave you some ideas there, so that's good. Hopefully he's not listening.
No, he's not.
Of course not. This is a chance to tune us out.
He's still asleep this morning, you know.
Well, that's true. It is early, and he is a musician.
That's right. So I was going to talk about to the expectations for buyers and sellers. So before we go into the real estate stats, a lot of buyers don't know how important it is to be really clear in the contract of purchase and sale, what you want and what you expect on possession day. So if you want all the appliances and everything included in the property to be in good working order, word to the wise, you just don't want to say, to the best of the seller's knowledge and belief, everything will be in good working order on possession day. No, you don't want to say it like that. You want to be as specific as possible. You want to say all included items, appliances, and anything included in the property will be in good working order on possession day. Because, if you get there and the dishwasher isn't slightly working right, or the washing machine, one of the cycles isn't working, or, garage doors, broken and not working, or, things like that, what's good working order too? This is also could be a point of view. What's good working order to you, the seller? It could be different to you, the buyer. What's good working order? And really, we all want everyone to be happy, selling and buying. And when you buy a home, that is like, you want it to be so exciting. You want to be so happy. You want to move in and not have all these disappointments. So you just really want to be clear of your expectations as a buyer. Make it really clear to the seller. And follow up a week or so before the completion and say, hey, just wanted to make sure that everything's still in good working order and, house cleaning is scheduled or whatever, right? Just to kind of follow up and remind the seller of their contractual obligations. And it just makes everything go smoother and it makes everyone happier. And we want everyone to be happy when they sell and buy because it's a very exciting time in their lives. So that is what I wanted to mention about that is, but also caveat emptor, buyer beware and be ready. So have it in your terms and conditions. Don't trust everything that you see on the MLS data sheet. Don't trust, everything that the listing agent has or says about the property or the seller because they don't even really know everything, right? So it is buyer beware. Always have your inspections and go deeper than that. Some inspectors don't test appliances and don't do this or that. So on the day of inspection, have a good time at the property checking everything because you just don't want to be surprised with an unhappy surprise on possession day.
No, that would make absolute sense. You definitely want to do your due diligence, especially right now when a lot of times you can't go in and have a look at these places, right?
Yes, and that's where you could try to put something into where you will have a visual of the property before completion, let's say 3 weeks or 2 weeks before completion or something, if you haven't been able to really have that good time in there. Or let's say your inspector, like the last couple inspections I've had, the inspector went in on his own. The buyer did not show up. I did not show up. The seller stepped out, to the backyard. Everyone's trying to stay away from each other. So that's the way inspectors are doing it, wearing gloves and masks and being very careful that way. You can't get in a lot of times and you're relying on the video and just what the inspector's telling you. So, have in the contract that the seller will allow you into the home, up to 3 times before completion date on reasonable notice or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So going into the stats, now this is really exciting because, we've all wondered, how is March going to look once the pen hits the paper, the stats are, the exact ones from the MLS system, exactly what's been listed, what's sold and all that. So let's go into that. So by the end of March, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board processed a total of 1,441 sales on the MLS system. So that's a 7% increase compared to sales in February, and an 18% increase compared to the 1,221 sales in March of 2019, so a year prior. During the first seven business days of the month, property sales were tracking 60% higher compared to the same period in March of last year. However, it finished significantly lower. So we're grateful that the BC government has designated real estate as an essential service, and accordingly, our industry has implemented numerous measures to mitigate and manage risk. We have suspended all open houses, restricted showings, pivoted to using technology as much as possible, and are urging, everyone in the middle of completing transactions with their clients to do so electronically. So that's been really good. We started March 3% higher for listings than last year as well, but by month end, new listings finished 7% lower compared to March of last year, taking the number of active listings to 6,083. So that's an increase of 6% compared to February's inventory, but a decrease of 13% year over year. So our real estate board's president, I'm going to quote him. He says, "A realtor's duty is to protect our clients. Now, as a society, we all have a duty. We are urging consumers to follow all recommended health and government guidelines and are committed to doing our part for as long as necessary." So we have, I know RE/MAX, we have a 4-part questionnaire that we send out and make sure that any buyers that must get inside, and they are asking for a physical showing, and their realtor answer all those questions. And if any of them are a yes, it means no, you cannot walk into this property. But yesterday as well, though, it was announced that realtors are protected as far as insurance on this, because we are deemed an essential service. So that was something that we weren't sure about, and they did announce that, the BC government, that we are protected insurance-wise. So that was very good. So in March, the average number of days to sell an apartment was 27 days. So not too long. For townhouses, it was 28. And for single-family detached, it's only taken 38 days to sell. So I've noticed in the last week and a half for my business that I'm getting a lot less inquiries to view, of course. I'm still getting inquiries on my listings, but a lot less to view. But I do have really good videos and everything for my listings, so that's good. Still a lot of questions and inquiries. And, still done some sales, had 3 subject removals, so 3 firm up this last week and a new listing. So things are still happening. So I'm going to actually go into Abbotsford I'm going to go through just a few different municipalities in our area and go through detached, townhouse, and condos and what they've done year over year, okay?
Okay.
So Abbotsford, detached homes are now at 842,600, and that is an increase year over year of 3.1%. And townhouses in Abbotsford are up 1% from last year, and they're at 469,000. And condos are up 5%. They're at 320,600. And for the Mission area, detached homes are at 739,000, and that's an increase of 5.4% from last year, so that's a good increase. And townhouses, though, are actually down a lot. They're down 15.7% year over year, and they're at 367,000 right now. And in Mission, condos are also down quite a bit, down 7.6% from last year, and they run around 261,000 for an average condo in Mission. And in Langley, detached is up 2.5% from last year at 1,046,000. Townhouses are up 7.6%, 621,500, and condos in Langley are down 12.1%. So that's at an average price of 385,000. And then for Surrey, so combined, because it's so large, the average detached price is at 1,168,500. That's up 5.5% from last year. And townhouses are up 5.4% from last year at 628,000. And condos are up 1.1% from last year, and they're at 404,600 average price. So these are all average prices. And you notice the city of Surrey, apartments and condos have gone up. It's really only gone down in Mission for strata, and in Langley, it was condos that came down so much at 12%. It's interesting because of the insurance, what's been happening with the insurance rates and the increases in strata fees and the increase in the deductibles, and as strata's annual their annual meetings meet and their insurances are up for renewal, they're seeing if they've been renewable and how much they're all going up. And so that's interesting, though, to see that happen year over year. And happy to tell everyone, it is still a seller's market. So in the spring, it's usually always a seller's market. But with this March that we've had, it is actually higher in the seller's market. Like if you look at the graph, which you can get on my website on the homepage, at the bottom of my homepage, this is all there for you. But it is actually a seller's market and higher than I would have expected with everything going on. And we are still in the second highest year ever in the Fraser Valley that we've ever been for the average detached home. So the market is still strong, as you noticed and you said, Curtis, is it's still strong. So I don't know how long, none of us do, how long this horrible virus is going to last. I mean, they say California, the peak will be still probably maybe up to 30 days away from now, or, when they get over that peak. So, I don't know, are we looking at 30 days here of self-isolation, or, we'll just have to take it day in and day out, a day at a time.
Yeah, it's a very fluid situation. We just have to keep, carrying on the best we can and be adaptable. Yes,
and I think what I'm going to do, because it's so amazing, the changes and the adaptability, volatility, like it's just so volatile. I maybe every week I'll take a quick little snapshot, because I can do that. I don't have to wait for the monthly stats to come out. I do have the weekly ability.
Okay.
So I might do that just to see, really hone in now week to week to see how things are changing. I know I'm doing that with all my listings and all the behind the scenes, of how many people are viewing it and favoriting it and forwarding it and asking for directions to my listings and things like that, right? I always see the activity online and what's happening and what kind of inquiries are coming in, but it's interesting to see the sales, what's happening price-wise and all that. So we'll keep really everything up to date. And I have a quote of the week I wanted to share.
All right.
And Tarek, it's, once you choose hope, anything is possible. Like, you were talking about how people are being so creative and people are finding time. I'm finding time to read more, as I mentioned. Right now I'm reading, that's just started a new book of my 8 that's here, Rehumanize Your Business. Like, really, get back. It's human to human. It's person to person and the creativity and everything. And so it's, sharing love and helping people and seeing people want to help people and give. It's just, that's hope, and anything truly is possible when you have hope and you have positivity.
Absolutely.
And I can give some hope to others by I have a couple specials this week.
Okay.
But not this week. Sorry, this month. We mentioned them last week. Using a code 1071 will get sellers who want to list and sell their property with me, if you need to sell this month, you need to get listed, then I will pay for your moving costs. So you just have to use the code 1071 for that. And if you're buying, give me a call at 778-885-4659 is my cell phone, direct to me. And I'll help you find the right place. And I'll get your new home professionally cleaned and sanitized. So Rudy at Gypsy Rug Cleaning and Odor Cleanse has been on our show a couple times, and he's the one I hired to do this. So he'll professionally clean the home, sanitize it for you.
Excellent.
These are my 2 specials this month.
Very nice indeed. If people want more information again about what you do, where do they got to go?
Well, they can always go to my website at michellecummins.ca.
And be sure to listen in next week when we will talk more real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.